everybody. It's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore coming at you again.
We're so glad that you're here. And we just pray that you guys are blessed by what the Lord has to share today. Mm-hmm. And we are day 13 out of 21 days that the Lord has us doing this fattening up on His Word. And so we just are praying that you guys are really just gaining so much from God's heart, and just how...
The funny thing is they're watching it on day 14.
I know.
Isn't that weird?
It's kind of, one
it's
day.
Like a staggered filmed on this day, released on this day.
Yes. But no, it all comes from the heart of God.
Yes.
And what He has to share.
And it's good on any day.
Exactly. But also we want to just give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to support us. We appreciate each and every one of you. We really could not do this without you and without the Lord's hand upon
glory to God,
our life. And so
just want to throw that in there.
Huge thank you. And if you would like to give to us, because we are support-based, you can. We have a PayPal link below, and you can just click that. So
and give as you feel led.
Yes. So today, we're really going to be talking about just the heart of the matter, of what God is really after. And in our last two videos, we kind of talked about just the vision of God's remnant people coming out, and some going to the left, some going to the right, and then just that God wants to really build this foundation of love for all His people. And then
both going to a blessed place.
Yeah. Both going to the blessed place, but that He's going to be doing, some will be at recess and play, and some will be going back to school, just so that we can all have that same foundation of love with the Lord. Yeah. And then so this morning, as we were at our God time, God really started bringing up just kind of His heart and how He is really for the hearts of people. I think so many times we can get lost in thinking that God is about what we do and how we're doing and the works, all that it includes, whether we're, like, have we obeyed God to the T, and like, okay, we marked our X's and all that, or
performance based.
Yeah.
And, weaknesses and strengths, and all of our weaknesses. Oh, these are all bad things. Let's work on all those things, because these are the things that are messing things up.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, but what is God really after? What is He looking at more than anything? Really, the one thing He looks at is the heart. Mm-hmm. And you can see that over and over again, where it's a 1 Samuel 16:7.
Yep.
Where it's like He's talking to Samuel. This is when he's telling him, like, when he's going to anoint David as king, and he's going down the line of all these brothers, and he's like, the first one, it's like, oh, surely this has got to be the next king. I mean, he looks
even
amazing.
Samuel's
He
is
looks
like
a king.
That's him.
And God's like, no, Samuel.
He looks like a good Saul replacement.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the problem. He is.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like Saul. I'm not looking for that right now.
Exactly. And so he's telling Samuel in that moment, he's like, hey, man looks at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart. And if you go into just with David and his life, God says he's a man after my own heart. And so many of the Psalms that David wrote, it's really about the heart and his relationship with the Lord. And, there's so many Psalms that talk about, like, search me and know me and all of those things. And it's centered around
Psalm 139.
The heart. Oh, yes. That's hilarious. We've been seeing the 139, but there you go.
Yeah.
And so
we'll bookmark that one.
Yeah. And so God, though, is just like, I am about the heart. I'm not about the outward things. That's what man looks at. Man looks at how successful you are and how well you do certain things and all of that. And we look at it and we can approve it or disapprove. And it's always about the outward appearance. And God's like, no, I'm looking at the heart. I'm looking at all those itty bitty tiny decisions that you're making every single day based on your heart and where it's at. And so today we were just talking about how, that is what God is looking at. He is seeing us in our hearts. He's not seeing, because we can get tripped up with, especially if you're in a place where God's maybe put you on the bench or you're in the wilderness and you're in a place with the Lord where you're not seeing fruit. You're not seeing
right.
You're not in a place where maybe you're not ministering.
You're not in a time of manifestation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're in a time of hiddenness. And I think in those places we can really start to kind of judge your own heart and think and be like, oh, I'm not doing this for Lord. I'm not doing that for Lord. I'm not doing this. But we've got to see what God is looking at. And if he is looking at the heart and he says, I've brought you out to this wilderness to draw you close to my own heart. And here, as we're here, I'm going to bring exposure. I'm going to develop your character. I'm going to bring out anything that's not good in your heart so that it can be pure before me, then it's actually a great place to be. It's, and he knows the depth and really truly the reward that's coming out of the seasons of the times of the wilderness and the times when, on the outside, maybe to everybody else, they think that you're doing nothing. Because God's like, oh, you have no idea.
It's like, what's he doing? He's just a piece of meat in a plastic bag just soaking in some juice. He ain't doing nothing. Oh, no, he's doing something.
He's getting
marinating.
Yeah,
Trust me, when I take him out, he's going to be the star of the ball right there.
Mm-hmm.
Throw him on the grill. Oh, everyone's going to want a piece of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's like, but I think though that it's so important to know and just see God's heart and why he does what he does and how he moves.
And it's funny because even if you're the piece of meat in the sack, you could be thinking that I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here.
Yeah, look at everybody else.
Lord, you keep speaking to me all these great things, and it's just like that's literally all we do. We just sit and talk and share, and we hang out, and we kick some tumbleweeds every once in a while. That's literally all we're doing. And it's like, oh no, you're doing way more.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You'll see later on.
Exactly. It's like you'll realize, like, whoa, I am so thankful and so grateful for the time that God had me marinating, for the time that God had me in a place that was a difficulty, and he brought me through, and this is what I gained from it. And there are eternal rewards. There are eternal rewards for obedience to the Lord in every place of your life. And it is not, I think for me personally, growing up, there's, because of the Great Commission and things like that, there can be a huge emphasis on, hey, you got to share, you got to evangelize, you got to be talking to people. You really, like, if you're basically not, sharing the gospel every single day and seeing people's lives change, there can be this sense of, man, there are no rewards for me. Yeah. And I feel like it's like, absolutely, I'm not saying don't share the gospel. I'm saying live by the Spirit of God. Because there are times when God's Spirit, he might be having you in the cave, in the wilderness, because he's preparing you. He's saying these years of preparation are going to lead to greater harvest later. And it's like, but it's in that time of preparation that there are great rewards. There are rewards for your life personally, because as you grow and mature, it just helps you, in life. But then there are eternal rewards that God is like, I'm giving you these rewards. And you might think, I'm getting a reward for that? What do you, all I did is I just didn't yell at my son today. It's like, that's a reward? And God's like, yes, because that's what I've been working on in your heart. Or, it can seem so insignificantly small. And
to everyone else.
It could literally be something it's just between you and the Lord. Only you two even know what you've done. So much for me personally, especially going through times when there's an attack from the enemy, and literally all I did was kept silent. Well, maybe to everybody else it doesn't seem like anything significant happened, but I know in my heart the significance of just me trying to not say anything.
Well, and the Spirit of God will come and be like, wow, you did so amazing through that. I know how hard that was for you. You did amazing. He's the only one who can encourage you.
Exactly. And so I think there are so many times for God's people where I think we just don't realize, like, that really God's heart is for our hearts. And so even the small, minute changes that He is doing and working in us really are huge. God always talks about being faithful with the little, and He will give you much. And I believe we've been in a time of the little. It's the time of the little things. It's all the little heart things that God's asking you to do. He's like, are you being faithful to just follow me in those? And when you can say yes, Lord, to all the exposure, when you can say yes to just that place of feeling like, man, I'm doing nothing, it's in those places that God is just going to say, you have been faithful with the little, now I can give you much. And so it was really cool this morning because God was just giving us some revelation personally with our family. And it was really awesome because it was talking about just the faithful, being faithful with the little, and I will give you much. And just kind of just changing the perspective of even what that means. Because God has given us just a picture of 3 plates. And each plate has 3 places. That God is just like, I want you to believe that
geographical
locations, places that He's like, I'm putting these places on your heart because you're going to have an impact there. Yeah. And right from 2018 we got the first plate. 2019 we got pretty much the second plate, but we had this third plate that's been empty. And even this year we've just been praying over it, like, Lord, maybe this is something we really do have to wait until, we're thinking, okay, well, maybe these other, places we have to show like we're faithful, or we have to do some, work or establish. And then,
well, the Lord gave us that word, about if you're faithful with these cities, I'll add 3 more.
Yeah. And so it was just this idea of like, okay, well, maybe those will come much later. But it's still been something that I personally have just prayed
Girl,
over
you've been knocking
many times.
I keep knocking on the door. Hey, I want to know this now. Thank you.
But I understand if you don't want to tell me, hey, I'm back.
Yeah.
But it was just like, so today God actually, and really has been for the last week or so, really showing these next 3 places that He has for us. And so this morning it really just solidified that final plate, and it was just like, this is amazing. Like, we have all 3 plates, and it's so awesome. And can you just say what you felt God was saying about just the faithfulness?
Oh, well, because I was asking because I was thinking along the same lines as you. I was like, well, we're probably gonna have to go and do whatever God wants us to do in these other 3 places, or other 6 places really. And then at some later point in time, He'll show us like, okay, now I want you to spread out because these other 3 places are outside of the United States. And we both knew, like, I think they're places outside of the United States.
Yeah.
Because we got like a little triangle, and then we got a big triangle when you connect all the places together. Yeah. And then the other ones, I'm like, well, I think they're outside of the United States. Yes. There's some places I want to go outside the United States. And so that's what I figured. I figured we'd have to do a lot of, maybe like touring or ministry or something. I don't know. I can only imagine. And so that's what I was thinking. But then as these other 3 places began to develop on their own, like this week, and it was just like, we just got them all. And I was like, whoa. And then I felt like the Lord said to me, you don't actually have to have the places in your hand to be found faithful with it. It's like when you have the title to a home or something like that, you can be faithful to keep that. And I felt like, did you want me to share about the apples too?
Oh, yeah, you can actually go ahead and share.
Well, because that. I felt like the Lord was basically saying, like, in the apple cart vision I had, where we were on the apple cart and we were going through the orchard, and there was a bunch of apples that were on the ground. I'm like, what in the world? Those were all promises that people didn't pick up. And it's like those dropped because they weren't there to get them. And it's like that means they left the faith for that promise long time ago. even though in a place that they couldn't see, in a hidden place, beyond their understanding and their realm of life that they could touch and feel, it was actually still developing. But it's like, that's why a lot of those apples were on the ground, because it's like they dropped their faith for that way before the actual apple dropped onto the to the ground. And so it's like they were unfaithful with that promise. It's like you be faithful with the promise long before you actually get it. And it's the reason you get it is because you've been faithful. And it's like you don't even need to have it. It's like so that's
so
kind of the idea.
I really loved that though, because it put a different picture on it, because I was like, that is faith. Faith is the hope for that which you don't see. It's like that confident assurance. Like, yes, this is ours. And so to basically, God's like, yes, you've been faithful with these other places. No, you haven't reached out and touched every single one. You don't even
we
have
haven't set our foot in any of these places.
It's like, okay, but you've been faithful to believe me for all of these. So yes, I'm going to extend it. I'm going to continue to expand what I'm putting on your heart to believe for. And it was just like, wow, that is so amazing. Like, that is faithfulness. And that's, and just kind of seeing it differently, because it's really seeing it where it's like you're faithful to believe the Lord. It has nothing to do with the work aspect of it. And I think so many times it's like, oh, well, we just equate faithfulness to a work. And yes, there is a work, but the work is believing. It's like
John 6:29.
And so Jesus it's like believing what God has placed upon you to believe for. Believe for even greater things. And so
if you continue to believe,
you will see the glory.
The
you
Lord
will
saying,
see it.
"Oh, I'm finding you faithful because you're continuing to believe."
And so it's just like, yes, I will continue to give to you. And so I think just like the encouragement in that is like, all right, what things in your own life has God just said, hey, be faithful with these? Whether it's just believing for it. I think that's been a huge season of believing for what God has brought into your life to believe for, and continue to press on in that.
Not letting it drop.
Keep that fire burning, and like, yes, Lord, I will
keep
continue.
The home fires burning. We did a video on that.
We will continue to believe until we see. We will continue to go forth. We will continue to contend for more. And so it was just really awesome, personally this morning. But there was also, I wanted to just read some scripture that you were reading this morning with Luke chapter 23. And again, this points to even Jesus. I think this just really got me this morning, because it's about the heart of God and his heart for us. He is concerned about our hearts. And
always. And
basically this picture is, here's Jesus. He's going to the cross, like carrying, and it said that they actually had gotten Simon of Cyrene to help carry the cross, because Jesus at that time, I mean, he was already so weak,
so beaten,
and yet here he is, and there's all these women that are just, they're mourning, they have they're weeping for him, and this was his response. And if you want to just
I'm just saying, like, the dude's back was flailed open.
Like, he was beyond recognition.
They said that you could even see his bones. He was so messed up, and he's bloody and just tormented. He's got the crown of thorns on his head already, doesn't he? I mean, he's just jacked up, as we used to say in the hood. You jacked up. Who jumped on you, man? And so says, and there accompanied Jesus a great multitude of the people, including women who bewailed and lamented him. But Jesus, turning toward them, said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming during which they will say, Blessed are the barren and the wombs that have not borne, and the breasts that have never nursed babies. Then they will begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they do these things when the timber is green, what will happen when it is dry?"
Yeah.
Dude on his way to get crucified, and he's preaching and teaching and prophesying. I guess there's hope for someone like me. Thank you, Jesus.
No, but it was just like, wow, like here, Jesus is getting ready to bear the weight of the sin of the world upon him. And he is still saying, don't weep for me. Like,
he's like, I'm good. I know what's getting ready to happen to me. Do you know what's getting ready to happen to you?
Yeah.
Girls, you better start praying.
Yeah, like praying for you, for your family.
Get yourself right.
Yeah.
Get yourself right.
Yeah, and so it was just like, wow. And because God, he was basically saying, like, this is what the world is doing in a time when it's actually
really nice and prosperous and good.
Lush, it's green. But what's going to happen when everything starts drying up?
It's like, look at all that I've done as the Messiah for the last 3 years. I've never broken a law, never done anything wrong, and this is how they're treating me. Like I've literally just come like a lightning bolt, like Thor's hammer into the earth, just changed the believing system of everything on the planet. You know, here I am, and this is how they're treating me. When it's really, really awesome and great.
Yeah. What's
going to happen when, you know what I mean?
Yeah, when it's dry.
When it's bad off, you know.
But it's like
you can also flip it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like his heart was for the heart of people, and that's really where God's heart is. And yes, we were talking about that this morning, where you can really flip it around, where it's like, okay, what are you like in the season of dry? We've been in a dry season. I think many of the remnant, we've all been in this place of the wilderness, the desert. It's dry. You think of wilderness as desert, but there are other wildernesses. But either way, you're in a place of isolation. You're in a place of, where it's not flourishing. And so you're in this desert place, and how are you responding there?
Okay, so I'm just going to use you as an example, because I used you as an example this morning. I said to the kids, I was like, here, I'm going to use Mommy as an example because she's a great person to pick on. So I was like, listen, you guys have all seen Mommy and how she's gone through. She gets in the mud and she's just going through stuff. I was like, what's the one thing you guys always see Mommy do every single time? And Joe was like, she goes to the Lord. I was like, exactly. That's what she does. And then what happens? She eventually overcomes. And then she comes out greater than when she went in. Every time. It don't matter if she has to go in 80 times on the same issue. Yeah. She's coming through this thing. Okay? She's like, this is not going to conquer me. I don't care how many times I got to fight this thing. It's not going to rule over me. Yeah. And the Lord is not going to allow it to rule over me. So if he wants me to be to the place of success, and I want to be to the place of success, we're getting there. I don't care if both my legs are broken, I'm crawling. Whatever's going to happen. It's like, that's what you've seen her do, right? And so I said, now listen to me. Listen to me, my childrens. If that's the way she is when it's bone dry, ooh, how do you think she's going to be when the glory of God falls on her? See? And that's exactly why the enemy attacks. That's exactly why. He is trying to get you to fall in the wilderness. Because once you get to the other side, see, he's already scared of you. That's what you need to know. And once you cross that Jordan, you get to the other side, you start circling Jericho, man, the walls of Jericho are afraid of you. They're going to start trembling. They're like, oh, Lord, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We couldn't take her out in the hard place when it was easy.
Of weakness.
Yeah, when it was easy for us. When she was vulnerable, it would have been easy to fall to the temptation. It would have been easy to give in to the sin. It would have been just easy to do it. And she just didn't do it. And now she's here, looking like Wonder Woman. You know what I'm saying? With Thor's hammer. You know what I'm saying? We're in trouble. And there's literally nothing we can do about it. Well, we'll just keep doing what we do. That's what the devil's going to do. It's just like, we're going to keep doing what we do. But man, we couldn't take her out then. How are we going to take her out now? You know what I'm saying? And so That's why it's like when Joshua crossed over and they began circling Jericho, they sealed up. They were so. It's funny because they were so great and strong and mighty and awesome. Why were they hiding behind their walls? You know what I'm saying? Because they were terrified. They were like gods with them. So you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like if you're faithful with little, God will give you much. If you're faithful to overcome in the wilderness, in the dry, in the desert, in the not feeling the presence of Godness of life, you know, what are you gonna do when the rain comes? The comfort rain and the vindication rain, man. Woo.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yes.
But I'm excited to see it. I'm serious. I might have a hard time keeping up with you.
You're gonna have your own glory with the rain.
Hey man, if I have the Lord with me, that's enough.
Yeah. It's true.
I'm serious, man. That's enough. I don't need any special accolades or nothing. I just need the Lord. If I got Him, I'm good to go.
That's so true. So true.
Good to go.
It's like, yeah, if you're having a bad day and the Lord just comes and He just literally can speak a word to your heart, and it's like,
sometimes the Lord just comes and He's just like, and that's all I needed right there.
Yep.
It's like, man, you're awesome. Come on, let's go. Let's do this.
So true. So that's really just what we wanted to share with you guys today. Is just the fact that God is looking at the heart of His people, and He will go to the greatest lengths to just really help our hearts, to grow us and develop us. And like you were saying, it's like so many people in this remnant place who've been in the desert, in the wilderness, and God's getting ready to reverse it into the tender green places. And it's just going to be so exciting to see His people in the places of just the green, in the places of no longer being in hiddenness, but in manifestation, meaning you're seeing the power of God, you're feeling the presence of God, you're seeing the fulfillment of His word in your life. And I just think that it really is literally just going to be launching people's hearts towards Him in just like this like great accelerated way. And there's going to be so much growth and so much just beauty that's going to be coming out of the lives of God's people. And so we just pray that this is a blessing to you guys, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Yep.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy Feast of Trumpets.